This minority caucus accuses government of breaching the provisions of the constitution over the recent decision to accept some West African nationals deported from the US of A.
Also to come, Ghana Police Service arrests members of armed robbery syndicates who gained notoriety for targeting rural banks and other financial institutions.
Plus, coalition of unpaid nurses and midwives demonstrates against government for failure to pay them after working for 9 months.
Those are the top stories. It's News Central here on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor.
And I am Mawuena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Now, the minority caucus is raising red flags over Ghana government's decision to accept some West African nationals deported from the United States of America, describing the agreement covering the deportations as unlawful. Government officials had said the decision to take in West African deportees did not amount to an endorsement of Trump's immigration policy and that Ghana was not getting anything in return. In the last few minutes, the minority has been holding a news conference to address some of their concerns to do with that deportation. Now, before we connect with our correspondent on the ground, let's go back into time now and take a listen to Ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Now, we'll do that. But right now, let's connect with our man on the ground, Crosby Annan. Crosby, what else has the minority been complaining about?
Well, thanks for having me. So I'm here with the ranking of the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament.
Addressed the press conference that ended a while ago, and just like you rightly mentioned, two main issues. The second has to do with Ghana's communication or Ghana's position about the happenings in Gaza, and the minority, they are concerned about the emphatic nature, the direct nature of Ghana's comments, and they think that it defeats Ghana's position, long-held position of being a non-aligned state. The first conversation had to do with the recent happenings between the U.S. and Ghana. I'm talking about the deportation of some West African migrants. Mr. Jinapo is here with me. He would throw more light on the positions by the minority. You're live on TV3. Thank you for speaking with us. It's an interesting conversation, the position the minority is holding right now. But let's start first off with what the minority is saying concerning the deported migrants.
Well, with the issue of the deported migrant, I think our position is very clear and it's straightforward. And really, I'm not too sure why we should be splitting hairs over this, because this is more like a black and white situation. It's totally unequivocal in terms of the factors which is motivating this discussion. First, Article 75 is very clear. Article 75 of our national constitution is absolutely clear that any such agreement should be brought before Parliament, should be laid before Parliament for parliamentary ratification. And additionally, the Supreme Court has had multiple instances to make pronouncement, rulings, and determinations on Article 75. So even if we had disagreement on the contours of Article 75 and if you want, generated some unnecessary ambiguity, the Supreme Court has made a definitive pronouncement on the implications of Article 75. And what has been agreed upon with the United States falls within the four corners of Article 75, which requires parliamentary ratification. So we are saying that the government and the Minister for Foreign Affairs should lay this agreement before Parliament for Parliament scrutiny and Parliament's ratification or otherwise. It is only when that is done that the representatives of the people, being Parliament, will get the opportunity to scrutinize this agreement. We will then be able to appreciate the tenets of this agreement. What is Ghana getting out of it? What are the provisions? Is it a good agreement? Is it a bad agreement? Can we send it back to the executive with comments for them to review it, and so on and so forth? So that is pretty straightforward.
At the moment, that has not been done. It didn't come to Parliament, but the agreement is in force already. What more can the minority do about it?
Well, all options are on the table. We've been at this for a while now in terms of the public advocacy, and we are hoping that this will get the government to change gear and change course.
So
and
you want the agreement to cease at the moment?
The agreement has to cease, because you know how controversial this U.S. policy on immigration is, and it's controversial. It affects all manner of persons. It affects nationals of all sorts. And African Union has made a pronouncement on this. ECOWAS has made a pronouncement on this. It affects Africans. It affects our compatriots. So we have to be careful in not positioning ourselves as aiding the Trump administration in its current immigration policy. And it is only when the government lays this agreement before Parliament that all of us will get opportunity to scrutinize and comment on this agreement, ultimately for the good of Ghana.
So my last question has to do with the first subject. But so essentially what you're saying is that the implementation of the agreement should cease. It should come to Parliament for the ratification to be done before, whether or not it progresses or it continues. The other has to do with the conversations or the comments by Ghana or the Foreign Affairs Ministry on the happenings in Gaza. You think it is defeating Ghana's position as a non-aligned state since independence?
Well, you know, Ghana has had a very respected foreign policy tradition over the years, since President Nkrumah's time, since independence. To quote President Nkrumah when he said, we neither look left or right, we look forward. In other words, we don't align with the East or West. We are a non-aligned nation. And this has been the tradition Ghana has adhered to for all these years since 1957, you know. And therefore, when the foreign minister of our country, who is the chief international diplomat of Ghana, makes comments which are very extreme, which are very declaratory,
one-sided,
which are partial, okay, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, it risks compromising Ghana's time-tested, well-acclaimed foreign policy position of non-alignment. And it is because of our non-aligned nature, which is why Ghana has been a leading country, a leading and respected country when it comes to peace building and bridge building and diplomacy, which results in the making of peace and so on and so forth. So we think the minister should not take a position which suggests that Ghana is aligning with Palestine as against Israel. And neither should he take a position which suggests that we are aligned with Israel as against Palestine. We should be impartial and we should be non-aligned. That has been how Ghana has conducted its foreign policy since independence.
Honourable, there's the argument that the happenings in Russia and Ukraine, when it began, the comments from the then NPP may defeat the thinking of the minority now.
Well, it doesn't make this right, and let's have that conversation. Let's have that debate. Let's have that debate. Let's open it up. Was the NPP's government, the just ended government's position on the Russian-Ukraine war, did they defeat or did it have the tendency of compromising Ghana's policy of non-alignment?
They were definitive.
Let's have that conversation, and if it is, that is also is one that we should not welcome. What is wrong yesterday is wrong today, and it should be wrong tomorrow. And I'm not making a pronouncement or a determination on that position of Russia, Ukraine war, and all of that. Whether I'm not even privy to what was said and the implications of that. But what is clear is that for the minister to say Israel is committing genocide in Palestine, in Gaza, clearly suggests that Ghana is taking sides in this conflict, and that has not been the position of Ghana over the years.
Thank you so much. So, Samuel Jinapol speaking Thursday and summarizing the press conference that was organized by the minority here in Parliament. Back to you, Kemini.
Crosby Yannan, thank you so much for the report. And you heard Crosby there in a conversation with the ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament, also Damongo MP Samuel Jinapo. Now, Ghana's Foreign Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa says the push for reparations by African countries is grounded in historical truth and moral clarity. Campaign, he argues, has a unified African and global backing and must be addressed head-on. He was speaking at the African Union event to mark a decade of African roots and African diaspora towards the 9th Pan-African Congress in Lomé.
80 years ago, the United Nations was founded as a beacon of hope, a testament to our collective aspiration for a world defined by equity, dignity, and progress. Yet, we must confront an undeniable truth. The current global multilateral system remains incomplete and imbalanced, its architecture misaligned with the realities of our time. The voices of Africa, the global South, and the African diaspora remain underrepresented in the halls of global decision-making. Reform is not a choice. It is an urgent imperative. It is the foundation upon which we must build a world that honors the aspirations of all peoples. Excellencies, our theme today, accelerating the reform agenda and strengthening the momentum towards justice and reparations, could not be more appropriate. For Africans and people of African descent, reparations are not some abstract ideal. They are a moral, historical, and developmental imperative.
Let's switch focus right now because the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, the PURC, has announced an across-the-board adjustment of some 1.14% in electricity tariffs effective October 1. Water tariffs, however, will see no increase, remaining at 0% increment for the fourth quarter of the year. The PURC's quarterly review mechanism is designed to track and incorporate movement in key factors that are beyond the control of utility service providers. And the PURC, in a statement, said the factors considered in this review included the Ghana cedi, the cedi to dollar exchange rate, domestic inflation, the electricity generation mix, hydro, and the cost of natural gas. As a result of these factors, the PURC approved new electricity rates for various customer categories. And we know for Lifeline customers as well, the tariff is seeing 80 pesos per kilowatt hour, up from the 79.53 pesos. All other residential customers using up to 300 kilowatt hour will now pay 182 pesos per kilowatt hour, while those using over 301 will pay 241 pesos per kilowatt hour. Let's speak to the Director of Research and Corporate Affairs at the PURC, Dr. Eric Obute. Doc, I appreciate you for speaking to us. Is there a justification as to why Ghanaians must be paying 1% more for utility? Because if there's anybody we can look up to say that we will get reprieve from, it should be the PURC, considering we've seen a remarkable decline in terms of exchange rates, albeit it's gone back to 12. It's not the same numbers we had when the year started. And so we haven't enjoyed any reduction at all. Why should we continue to see an increase?
Very much, Mawuena. I believe you read out a number of factors that we consider when we are doing the minor tariff. As I
inflation inclusive as well.
Sorry?
Inflation inclusive as well, and that's also been on the downward trajectory.
So those factors are beyond the control of the service provider, and I'm going to explain to you. One of the factors which we consider is the inflation. The other factor which we consider is the exchange rate.
Right.
Now, the exchange rate that we used the last time in the third quarter was 10 cedis, 70 pesos to the dollar. As we speak, the exchange rate that we are using is 12 cedis, 37 pesos. So there's a shortfall in that already. Okay, and we need to, just as you rightly pointed out, the minor tariff review is to make sure that we restore the value of the tariff in the previous quarter. So exactly that is what we are trying to do in this particular quarter, by trying to restore the value of the tariff. So even though we have seen a decline in the inflation rate, we have seen also a slight depreciation of the currency, whereby we use 10 cedis, 70 pesos as against this current tariff. Now we are using 12 cedis, 37 pesos. So that gap is what we are trying to close.
Year started when the cedi began to perform creditably against the US dollar. We've seen the 2 previous quarters, that appreciation of the cedi, we didn't see a resultant decrease in tariffs. The explanation we got from the PURC was that we were settling some debts which had accumulated, and so we used the last 2 quarters to clear those debts. And then as well in the last quarter, we got the indication that a part of the reasoning why we were seeing an increase in the tariff was the purchase of fuel amongst many other things. Now the debt is gone. In this justification, we don't see the mention of fuel purchase. Then the question will come, why are we not getting at least some reprieve, is the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think when I started off, I said that if you take the weighted average cost of gas we did not touch at all. We did not do anything of the weighted average cost of gas. It remained the same. The generation and thermal mix remained the same. The last quarter we generated 28.8% out of hydro and 71.2% from the thermal. This time around, just as you rightly pointed out, we've seen that the exchange rate has depreciated marginally. And that gap, we need to close that gap. The utilities don't have control over the exchange rate the way it moves. Neither does the PURC have control over the exchange rate the way or the direction in which it moves. All we try to do is that we try to restore the value of the tariffs. So at least the service providers will be able to maintain exactly what they are supposed to do on an operational basis. If it comes to the major tariff review, in that case, we have to consider both the capital expenses and the operational expenses. Capital expenses here include their transformers, the bulk supply points, the cables, poles, operational vehicles. All of that will have to be considered, in addition to lubricants, chemicals, pipelines that they use to run their operations. So when it gets to the major tariff, obviously the tariff will also be a different game altogether. But this is a minor tariff that we are looking at. So the major tariff, this is the time we have received proposals from the service providers, and we are now interrogating those proposals, engaging the public, engaging all stakeholders to make inputs before a final determination of the major tariff itself will come out. That will take effect in January 2026.
And Doc, I hear you on the explanation that we have to restore the value of the tariff amongst many other things. And the major tariff review is currently underway. We've seen ECG table 200+% amongst many other things. The concern and the reason why I've hammered on this consistently is that many have made the argument that all across we're expected to see price reductions to an extent because when the cedi is not performing, everything else goes up. And the cedi has performed to an extent, and yet all throughout, we haven't seen it reflect immediately or directly in tariffs for us as a people. And with the major tariff review you speak to as well, that is expected to go up as well because they've tabled proposals to expand the grid amongst many other things. Certainly, there won't be a reduction on that front. And so all throughout the year when we can make an argument that the economy has performed to an extent creditably amongst many other things, Ghanaians have not benefited when it comes to tariff.
Well, mind you, you just stated yourself that there was a debt which we had to clear. Previously, there was a debt of about 900 million, about approximately 976 million cedis which we had to clear. And we couldn't push it all through at a go. So at any point in time, we push through about half of it, and then we push through another half. And then we have to also recoup some fuel components from the tariffs. So even though we had an exchange with the appreciation of the cedi, it was offset by the debt which was outstanding that we had to push through. Had it not been for the debts that were there in the previous tariff regimes, obviously we would have seen a reprieve. And more so, because of the performance of the cedi, we have also seen that even though the tariffs have gone up marginally, they did not go up as much as they should have gone up because of the performance of the cedi. If the cedi had not performed creditably well as against the US dollar, I'm sure we would have seen a different situation. But the performance of the cedi has also led to a dampening of the effect on the tariff itself. So it has come down by 1.14%.
Right. Just finally,
the exchange rate is not the only determining factor.
Absolutely. There are other factors that go into it as well, which I've been mentioning as well. But just finally, with this 1.14, are we still paying for a portion of the components for fuel? Because we know as well that there was 1 cedi slapped on fuel prices to cater for fuel as well. And so I just want that clarity, whether even with these increments, people are still, or we're, as a people, we're still paying for the component of fuel, which was a part of the previous quarter.
The 1 cedi component you mentioned is not from the PURC. That's the
no, yes, that's different. That's different. So I'm just asking.
Yes. So PURC does not have control over that one. What we pushed through the tariff was 27% of the fuel cost. And that is what we consider. Beyond the 73% is being taken over by government. So PURC does not have anything to do with the 1 cedi levy which is levied on the...
I'm just asking if we're still paying that 27% even in this new tariff that's been announced.
It's all considered throughout, because in the last tariff, that's what we considered.
Right.
So you're considering it in this tariff as well.
As always, thank you very much for speaking to us, Doc. A pleasure connecting with you. That's Dr. Eric Obute speaking to us. It's with the Public Utility Regulatory Commission. And so 1.14% is the expectation in terms of how much more you'll be paying for electricity. But water remains as it is. And that's the latest we're getting from the PURC.
Now, parents of some candidates of this year's Basic Education Certificate examination have chastised the computerized school selection placement system for failing to place their children into their preferred schools despite securing excellent grades. For Beatrice Bilson, for instance, it's Holy Child Senior High School for her daughter or nothing else. George Quinnin was at the Nat Hall here in Accra and filed this report.
The Education Ministry says 82% of students have successfully been placed. 15-year-old Shannon Wedi Mensah is one of them, but she's not pleased with her placement. Her first choice is Holy Child Senior High School, but she has been placed in Winneba Senior High School. With her aggregate 8, she feels cheated just like her mother.
I want him to change it. That's why I'm here with my mother.
So what if it doesn't happen?
It will surely happen.
No, what if it doesn't happen?
It will happen.
Let's. Yeah.
I guess I would have nothing to do about that because we have tried our best.
But don't you think it's also high time for us to go like, okay, Holy Child is not bad, but let's also go to these schools that we think is not, grade A and start from the scratch and make it still. Because you're a smart girl, that's what you're telling me.
Okay, for that one, maybe if others are interested. But for me, I don't think I'll try that.
Nothing will stop the mother from ensuring her daughter is well placed.
I don't think she deserved a second choice. 8 is good, so they should do something about it because for 8 and second choice, no. Although Winneba is not bad, but no.
This young girl would not budge. No matter the level of persuasion by her mother, Wesley Girls Senior High School will forever be her dream school. Across the length and breadth of the Nat Hall, you could see a parent trying to talk their ward out of the entrenched position on their preferred school.
Parents and wards continue to besiege the Nat Hall to ensure that placement issues are resolved. Until these issues are resolved amicably, the story will be the same each and every day.
She's 15. The school she chose, they didn't even give her one. They sent her to Ho as a day student. I mean, a 15-year-old child cannot be on her own. And I can't leave that child to live there vulnerably. Already under my eyes, I need to keep, eyes on her. How much more I leave her to go and be on her own and go to school.
Maybe say when you're at grade 10, Mama for a C school 4th choice, but now go to Kumasi Echi.
My child had aggregate 10 and was given his 4th choice in the Ashanti region. The process is frustrating.
St. John's, I want to say in the grade in the 10, no, St. John's, oh, yeah.
And you'll be an a boarding school. It was at least on your day back.
Not every parent wants a boarding school. At least our children must be placed in their preferred choice.
Take you so
weeks. Ebi opo 1 month pona omo free we.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Linda Okulu couldn't have said it any better, but assured that issues would be resolved amicably.
We all have a preferred choice. The fact that you didn't get your preferred choice doesn't mean. I recall that was about 2 years ago. My daughter needed to go to St. Rose's. In fact, they didn't get St. Rose's, so I was given an option, and why not? I took that option, and now he has gotten a school. It doesn't mean that the fact that you want preferred choice, you don't get, your child wouldn't get placement. No, she will definitely get a school to attend.
A total of 603,328 candidates sat for this year's BECE, comprising 297,250 males and 306,078 females, with exams conducted at 2,237 centers nationwide.
Students are expected in schools on the 18th of October. Hopefully, some of these 13 challenges are resolved before school reopens next month. George Quinin, TV3 News, Nat Hall, Accra.
It's still News Central here on TV3. I'm Kemini Amanor. Now, the Ghana Police Service has dismantled the notorious armed robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country. The Inspector General of Police, Christian Yohuno, made the announcement at a press conference held at the National Police Headquarters here in Accra this morning. According to the IGP, the successful operation is a major breakthrough in the service's ongoing crackdown on organized armed robbery groups. Let's connect now with our correspondent on the ground, Armstrong Gold Alogbe. Talk to us. What else has the police been talking about? Well, in the meantime, we can take a listen to the IGP on this matter.
And they've managed to cut down about 10 of them. 3 of them have been shot dead in a gang battle, and also currently one person is at large, and the police is still trying to get this person, and they also keep him in remand till investigations are over. And these banks that have been targeted are cut across within some 6 regions, and the police have given us briefing. Let's take a listen to what the IGP has to say to us.
Let's listen to the IGP now, Christian Yohuno.
The operation over the past year, the service recorded a number of robberies targeting financial institutions, particularly rural banks. My team and I, after analyzing these robberies, observed a similar pattern. We immediately got to work. After painstaking investigations, working with credible informants, analyzing available data, surveillance across several regions, we launched a targeted operation to arrest these criminal elements. This operation took us to the Ahafo, the Western, the Central, Eastern, and Ashanti region in towns such as Esreso, Edija, Ejiso, Achiankrum, Atonsu, Chirapatre, Ahua, Zongo, Aputoja, Abotem, please forgive me my language, Kasebost, Eswofua, Atosu Monaco, Pechi, Obuase, and Boho near Kronom. These are the hideouts of these criminals. I'm delighted to announce that we have successfully dismantled the gang behind all these robberies.
So Armstrong, tell us a bit more. In this dismantling the syndicate, how many arrests were made? Did the IGP also indicate what nature of crimes they have been involved in, whether any of them is made to the news? Talk to us about the details of this.
So, Kemini, the IGP has been explaining to us that these gangs in question people who all the target is rural banks. They just go to banks, and when they get them, they have these officers there. They just tie them behind them, they tie their hands behind them, and then use electrical gadgets to cut down the door leading to where these monies are being kept, and they rob the bank and they go away. And arresting them, about 10 of them currently have been apprehended, and they were brought in the police Ivy Maria vehicle that was they were brought in, and also the police retrieved about 14 guns from these people. Some of the guns that were retrieved from them, the police identified that one of the guns belongs to a police officer that was attacked on his way from official duties, and they killed him and seized his gun, and they took the gun, and as part of the operations, these are some of the guns they used. And the police also identified other guns that were stolen from police officers on official duties, and these criminals used in their daily operations. And this thing has been happening for the past 6 months, we are told, according to the IGP, and that for the IGP, these people are the brain behind almost all the activities, the robbing activities in the various rural banks across the country, particularly in the Ashanti region. The CID boss has also been speaking to us. Let's take a listen to it.
Through sustained intelligence operations over a period of 6 months, the Ghana Police Service, under the able leadership of the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Christian Tete Yohono, has successfully dismantled the notorious criminal syndicates who have been behind several robberies in various regions of the country. The syndicate, believed to be made up of about 15 persons, have carried out mainly bank robberies in the Ahafo, Western, Central, Eastern, and Ashanti regions, in addition to other robberies. So far, 10 members of the syndicate have been arrested and are in police custody, as you just witnessed them today in this room. 3 other suspects were shot dead following an exchange of fire with the police during the operation, and efforts are ongoing to get the remaining suspects arrested. The suspects are Akwesi Eje, alias Cobra, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, Samuel Apia, alias Akwesi Mugu, Francis Akwa, alias Preman, David Obobi, alias Wasti, Martin Akansina, alias 1 Billion, Nana Yao Frimpong, alias Mystical, Kojo Atingawo, alias Boga, Samuel Akwesi Jan, Stephen Say, Koku Pepra, alias X5, he is deceased. Bozin is also deceased. Kwabna Owusu Ansa is at large, and 1 Albert also at large. The banks affected are as follows. Adansi Rural Bank in Fomena was attacked on the 10th of April 2025. The Lower Pra Rural Bank at Takrade in Traban was attacked on 24th April 2025. Asokore Rural Bank in Asokwa was attacked on the 18th of May 2025. Ahafo Kukom Rural Community Bank branch was attacked on the 30th of May 2025. In Wabeja Rural Bank at Ofinso was attacked on the 10th of July 2025. Bosomchi Rural Bank at Sontreso was attacked on the 18th of July 2025. Kakum Rural Bank at Elmina was attacked on 4th August 2025. MRB Bank in Winneba was attacked on the 15th of August 2025. The South Birim Rural Bank at Achim Asene was attacked on 16th August 2025. The EcoBank Ahafu Kenyasi branch was attacked on the 8th of September 2025. And lastly, St. Martin de Porres Co-op Credit Union at Atonsu, Monaco was attacked on 14th September 2025.
Armstrong, quickly tell us, how is this changing police operations around security when it comes to, these rural banks?
So the police, they've currently studied the techniques used by these gangs in their daily robberies, and they've also trained specially their men to meet them head on and ensure that they are not successful with their operation. So currently the police is very sure that with these 15 let me say 14 that have been apprehended now, with 3 gangs down, with 10 behind bars. Currently, they are sure that they've managed to dismantle the strengths of these criminals scattered across the country. And they move in a team, and these are the leadership of the gangs. So currently, they are still going around to ensure that any other criminal scattered out there, they are able to apprehend them and then ensure that the rural banks are safe. But currently, they are saying that the government to mine or protect the safety of the rural banks scattered across the country. Kemini.
Armstrong Goldalog were there sitting through that police news conference updating the public on the notorious rural bank armed robbery syndicate. You're watching News Central. When we come back, we'll bring you more stories.
Now, this afternoon, the Coalition of Unpaid Nurses and Midwives Ghana have demonstrated against government for failing to pay them after working for 9 months. They demand the health minister to ensure the immediate release of funds to pay their salary arrears. According to the demonstrators, over 7,000 out of 15,000 nurses and midwives employed by the SWAL NPP government in 2024 are yet to be paid by government. Christopher Mwako followed through on the demonstration. Is joining us right now with details. Chris, I mean, talk to us about the demands of the aggrieved nurses. They say they want to be paid, but help us understand the reasoning why their salaries have not come through just as yet.
According to them, since last year, 2024, August, when they were posted till now, they have not received a PESWA from as salary, and this is actually having an impact on their livelihood because they are unable to pay their rent, they are unable to feed, they are unable to even take care of themselves and their families. And this stems from the fact that some 15,000 of them were posted last year. Out of that, according to the health ministry, 7,000 of them have so far been paid, which they are even contesting because they are saying that the figure the minister has given is inaccurate and that more than 7,000 of them are even yet to be paid. And so the question is that why is it that 15,000 of them were posted, a number of them were paid, and the remaining have not been paid? And so that is where their question stems from. And they are demanding the ministry to, with immediate effect, facilitate processes for their payment because they are not being treated fairly according to them. They want the Ministry of Health and the Finance Ministry to promptly respond to their demands and pay them their 9 months arrears. Let's take a listen to what they have actually been saying.
Any payments from the government, and they are telling us that our clearance has been expired, whereby some of our colleagues have received their salaries. So why is it that we all entered in the portal with them at the same time, but they were able to receive their salaries? Why is it that their clearance didn't expire and ours has been expired, which is not understandable? We are not getting the what they are trying to tell us. There's no sense in it. We are more than 7,000 nurses who have not been paid. Yes, the minister said they paid 6,000 or so. He was mentioning some figures, which is not right, which is not true. Because if we even compare the number of nurses who have been paid, I'm not sure they have to the 6,000 he mentioned. So imagine, 7,000 nurses are out there. Some are having families. Some are having kids. Some are dependents. Some borrowed money to come and rent. And up to date, they are not receiving salaries.
Briefly, what next for them? Just briefly.
Yes, so Mawuena, they are saying that if the health minister and the Ministry of Finance fails to address their concerns, the next step will be to picket the health ministry in the coming days.
Thank you very much. Christopher Mwako is my colleague in the northern part of the country for us. Away from that, over the years, persons with disability are often viewed and treated negatively due to social stigmatization. Across the Bono East region, the effect on social stigma is weighing heavily on daily lives as persons with disability are mostly deprived of basic rights like housing, employment, and even the chance at a loving relationship.
In the day-to-day busy bustle of life, the daily challenges for persons with disabilities often goes unnoticed. Beyond physical barriers faced by these individuals, their day-to-day life is mostly prone to stigmatization. This insensitive act weighs heavily on their daily livelihoods, affecting every aspect of their lives.
People will finish work, schooling, and they'll be posted to work at certain institutions. When they go there, the heads of the institutions will be dragging their feet in accepting those people. You realize that a disabled proposes to a non-disabled or an abled person, then the abled person, tries to pull away. And it's wrong.
For many, This takes a form of subtle slights, like being avoided at public gatherings.
At times you go to a social gathering, nobody wants to sit by you.
But for others, the effect is more severe. Mr. Jeremiah Isahaku recounts a harrowing example involving a friend who was denied an apartment due to her disability.
I have a friend, a colleague, who was just posted some months ago to a school in Nsuta. And this lady colleague had been looking for a room to rent. She got this room and the landlord told her that they can't give her the room because she's disabled.
He's advocating for societal support for persons with disability rather than sympathy.
Nobody goes to the market to buy disability. So we are pleading with the society to see us as human beings before we becoming disabled. People who are disabled, what they need is to be supported. We don't sympathize with them. I'm encouraging the ladies especially. When persons with disability proposes to them, please ladies, do not reject them.
Meanwhile, the mayor for Techima Metropolis implored policymakers to put in place policies and programs that actively assist persons with disability.
We have to put in place policies and programs to assist the vulnerables in our society.
Now, the Asokore Mampo Municipal Assembly has identified and marked several buildings for demolition as a critical step in its flood prevention strategy. The structures are located illegally along the banks of the Abuabo storm drain, a waterway known for overflowing during heavy rains, causing significant property damage and posing a threat to lives. The Assembly has issued a final warning to property owners who have built on waterways and restricted zones, stating that it will strictly enforce the law. With the rainy season underway, our reporter Ibrahim Abubakar has been assessing the situation on the ground. He's joining us now with his observations. Ibrahim, how many buildings are likely to be demolished?
Well, so the demolition will affect all structures within the legally mandated buffer zone. That is, we are talking about those within 50 to 100 meters of the storm drainage. Additionally, all structures that are sitting on waterways, we are told, will also be removed. And so the Assembly is anticipating demolishing more than dozens of such structures, because many of these structures have already been earmarked for demolition. But because of lack of political will, let me say, previous attempts have been hindered. And for that matter, these demolitions have not been able to be done. And anytime it rains, that storm drainage continues to flood, claiming lives and even destroying a number of properties. So this time around, the Assembly says it is committed to leaving no stone unturned and making sure that it will remove all these structures to be able to pave way for water to be able to flow freely. Also, we have new structures that are also springing up. For the new structures, they have given them a 1-week ultimatum to put down all the structures, or we'll have to face the wrath of the Assembly. Let's listen to what the MC for Asokore Mampo, Ben Abdallah Al-Hassan, has been saying.
We have given them the other opportunity of doing the demolition themselves within a space of 1 week. Failure to do so, which will compel the Assembly to come in again to bring a bigger and more purposeful machinery to conduct the demolition exercise and surcharge them for the cost of demolition. There's a lot of indiscipline within the fiscal planning space, within the municipality. And this is something that I'm willing to confront head on. This is not the first of its kind that I've done. And we will continue. This one will go down. And effectively, all others that are illegally put up will go down in the coming weeks and months. We are committed to ensuring that there is a lot of sanity within the fiscal planning space. We have met a couple of them, and they have clearly admitted to the fact that whatever they are doing here is illegal.
question here. Thank you so much for talking to us. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent and in Regional Hub. Poisoned food, poisoned water, and a poisoned air. That's what Ghanaians are gleefully consuming as the ravages of illegal mining destroys not just lands and vegetation cover, but now human lives. The latest evidence of this full extent of harmful activities of illegal mining is causing has been captured in a mercury and other heavy metals impact assessment report. Now, the report, which spans August 2024 to September of this year, has revealed alarming levels of mercury concentration along with lead and other harmful chemicals. Now, this is not the first time such a report has been released. This time we are learning even the air we breathe could be polluted with these harmful substances. Let's unpack all of that on our dashboard. Mawuena will do just that. Mawuena, what are the levels we are looking at?
Right, and so let's start off with what the basics are with this report. And this report was put together by the EPA and then Pure Earth with support from the UK International Development Agency as well. What we're seeing is a revelation perhaps as to the consistent conversation about the fact that there are challenges as a result of illegal mining. We're beginning to see some of these challenges being found in terms of tangentials in our soil, our food, water, fish even, and even the air we breathe. And so let's start off with some of the catchment areas and what the report found out. And so starting off with the soil where these tree crops, amongst many other things, are planted, this is the required levels of, say, mercury that can be found in the soil because it's a natural metal, and so you find it in the soil. We're expecting under 10 ppm, but what was found in Konongo Zongo is in excess of 1,342 ppm. Wow. That's in excess of 13,000+% above limit. Now, if you go same Konongo at Odumase was seen in excess of 9,000 cities, no, not cities, 9,000% above limit. Then we move from soil to air, and the mercury levels we're finding there. There are a lot of scientific terms, but just to make it understandable for you, we're supposed to be seeing less than 1% of whatever chemical reaction we're supposed to have in the air, in the air that we breathe. But currently, at Wasa Kayanko, we're seeing in excess of 14,000%. That's in terms of the air we breathe. And we move to water because they sampled in different areas, and we'll get to see that when we move along. Water was seen in excess of 1,000% contamination in terms of mercury levels, and then the soil again in Konongo. So we found mercury. We're talking of arsenic presence as well in our soil. So not just one metal that we're talking about. We've mentioned mercury. Now the arsenic contamination as well, above 40,000% at the soil at Konongo Zongo. At Konongo Odumase, we're seeing 32,000% as well. For lead, in our water, we're seeing 9,600% above limit in water at Esiakwa. We're seeing above 833% at Akwaboso, and this was found particularly in our fish as well. And this latest report, and I see you squinting a bit because you could be consuming this without even knowing.
This is groundwater we're talking about.
Yes.
The same groundwater that flows within the network of rivers that we have.
Absolutely.
Which will finally end up in our taps, basically.
And I want to go a step further. When you say groundwater, it moves just beyond the groundwater to the wells that are dug.
Right.
And then the boreholes as well. And so they took samples from the wells and then the boreholes as well, which had been dug, and were finding these levels of contamination in them. And so some people will say, oh, I can dig a borehole. Well, you're not really exempt when it comes to the dangers of what
this
what
is before
galamsey can
treatment.
cause.
I mean, when we stick with water alone, this is before
This
it's
is before treatment. But remember, treatment doesn't remove metals.
Absolutely.
It doesn't remove any of these metals. And this is lead, which we're finding. And it goes on to the crops now, where we're seeing in excess of 3,000% above limits. And that's what we know.
Wow. I'm worried about the food I'm going to eat this afternoon, the fish we're going to consume.
Absolutely.
I mean, and these are areas where we grow a lot of our foods.
That's what
we're going to be using this.
That's what we're moving to next. And so for where the research team focused their work on, these are food basket regions.
Right.
So you mentioned the Ashanti region, the Eastern region, Western North, Central region, and then Savannah region as well. These are areas where we get food from: grains, tomatoes, kontomire, cassava, you call it what. We're getting all of these from there. And someone will ask, okay, yes, we see this and we're worried, but there is direct correlation which we're already seeing from
the
this
Kolebu
report,
Teaching
from
Hospital,
the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, that in certain cases, we're seeing figures in terms of cardiovascular diseases crossing. We're yet to end the year, but if you look at the first column, nearly 3,000. That beats or that surpasses all other years since 2021. And so when the subject of galamsey comes up and we're talking about it, these are the numbers and these are the things which are directly affecting us, and you're seeing it play out. The air that you breathe as well, potentially you could be breathing in harmful substances. This work put together by the Environmental Protection Agency and Pure Earth as well.
I mean, so even if the water company were to treat, first of all, we don't want to pay too much for water.
It costs us a lot more.
They still won't get everything out.
Absolutely.
Which means that we will be consuming some of these heavy metals.
Absolutely.
And they are not good for our health.
I mean, the data is there to see in terms of what this is. And last week when we asked a direct question, is there direct correlation between what is happening and these figures or these numbers we're seeing?
And
the response we got was yes. And so there is for all of us to see in terms of galamsey. But that's it.
Will you drink water today?
If you don't drink it, you will die.
Oh my goodness.
That's it for By the Numbers.
We are in a very terrible situation.
Terrible situation. But it's time for us to go as well. You will drink water, because if you don't drink it, you will die. But this is where we are. Kidney disease.
Not prayer would save us at this time. We have to do something about it.
Absolutely.
And immediately as well. Anyway.
Most definitely. That's how we wrap up on today's edition of The Bulletin. We're back again tomorrow. I am Mawuena Egbeta.
And I am Kemini Amanor. Bye-bye.